We need to have a serious talk about CleanSpark. Since the January 27th lows, Marathon Digital is up 13.85%, Riot Blockchain is up 18.59%, Bitfarms is up 2.58%, Hut 8 Mining is up 11.2%, and CleanSpark is up 57%. So you might be wondering, what in the HE double hockey sticks is going on here? Is this just a coincidence, or is this for real? Well, in today's video, I'm going to do my best to explain why I believe going forward this is just the beginning of CleanSpark's outperformance in comparison to the other Bitcoin mining companies in the stock market. But without further ado, I just want to get one thing out of the way really quickly. If you guys are new here or returning and not yet subscribed, don't be lame. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Now let's go ahead and get into this. First, let's just give some background as to why CleanSpark has been outperforming so significantly in comparison to its peers since January 27th, because this is going to set the stage as to why I think this outperformance is going to continue for CleanSpark. First of all, the management team and executives and board of directors have been going out and buying shares of stock on the open market. If you guys have followed my channel whatsoever, you would know this is something that I've wanted to see more and more management teams do as the stock market has continued to crumble. So many management teams out there are all talk, no show. They're not putting their money where their mouth is in buying shares of their stock, buying shares of their company when they feel that it's undervalued. As I just mentioned, CleanSpark's management team has been going out and buying shares on the open markets, which has given the overall stock market lots of confidence in CleanSpark and in this management team. If you go and look, there is not a single other Bitcoin mining stock that has had a management team go out and buy shares of their stock on the open markets. CleanSpark is number one. Just to give you some more detail, the most recent insider transactions were from our CFO named Gary. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name.
A few moments later.
Gary Viciarelli. Last week, CFO Gary went out and purchased around 7,700 shares of stock on the open markets at a price of $10.25 and $11.18. And if you scroll down, you might see Matthew Schultz had a disposition. This doesn't mean that Matthew Schultz sold, and if we actually went and read the SEC filing, it would tell us that Matthew Schultz gifted these 25,000 shares to another individual. So Matthew Schultz did not sell. Then if we scroll down even further, we can see that one of the directors last week also purchased 15,000 shares. And again, CleanSpark is the only Bitcoin mining company who has had a management team going out and doing this. As a matter of fact, most Bitcoin mining companies have executives and a management team that are actively selling their shares that they own in their respective companies. So this is a welcome sight from Wall Street when they see CleanSpark's management team actually going out, showing confidence, and buying shares on the open market. Reason number two for CleanSpark's outperformance is actually their most recent quarterly report. This is the first time in CleanSpark's history where they have reported a legit net income and profitability as a company. And we all know in the stock market, pretty much all that matters is future cash flows and future profitability that will be delivered to shareholders' pockets over the long term. Because if a company never becomes profitable, investors aren't ever going to get any of their investment capital back. The key point that I wanted to highlight with this earnings report is the fact that even if CleanSpark was not actively selling their digital currency or their Bitcoin they hold on their balance sheet to fund their operations, they still would have reported a profit, and that's a big deal. You can see it on the income statement here, but the realized gain on sale of digital currency, which directly benefits the bottom line or the profitability, had a balance of around $10 million, meaning that they had a boost in net profits of $10 million thanks to them selling their Bitcoin on their balance sheet. But if you take that $10 million away from the bottom line, and you'll notice that the net income for the company was about $14.5 million, minus the $10 million, if you completely get rid of that line item, the company still would have reported a net income of $4 million, which is a big deal. This is a big deal for Wall Street, seeing that going into the future, there's a very solid chance CleanSpark is going to have sustained profitability, that this quarter isn't just some fluke thanks to them selling their Bitcoin on their balance sheet, that this is a profitable company and it's likely going to stay that way forever going into the future. Once a company becomes profitable, and this is pretty much common sense, the risk of investing in that company goes down significantly. And Wall Street loves whenever this happens. This is also probably part of the reason that an ETF like WGMI, one of the newest Bitcoin mining ETFs out there, has about 12% of the total portfolio allocated to CleanSpark shares. And second place is almost 3% in allocation behind CleanSpark at just around 9% total portfolio allocation. Obviously, portfolio allocation is going to go up significantly when CleanSpark is outperforming all the other names on this list by such a wide margin. But we also know, thanks to a spreadsheet that I've created for the members-only Discord server, that Valkyrie has been adding more shares of CleanSpark to this fund than any other name in this portfolio, which is crazy to think about. And by the way, if you guys are curious about that membership, I don't advertise it too much. I don't push it on you guys too much. But if you're interested in joining the membership, there should be a join button next to the subscribe button if you're on a computer. Otherwise, I'll leave a pinned comment with a link to my Patreon. But you can come join our amazing community and get access to a bunch of other perks for literally the price of a lunch per month. There's $10 that are going to be coming out of your bank account per month to be part of this amazing community and get access to a lot of smart people. With all that junk out of the way, let's go ahead and get back into the video. All right, now let's quickly discuss why I believe this outperformance is just getting started and it's going to carry forward into the coming months. First of all, we've kind of already lightly touched on it, but CleanSpark has literally the best cap structure out of any Bitcoin mining company out there. CleanSpark has not diluted shareholders since November of last year. This management team is completely unwilling to dilute shareholders at prices this low because they feel that their company is so undervalued in the public markets. On top of this, the management team has actually talked about potentially implementing a share buyback program to help boost the share price back up. It makes a ton of sense. Think about it. The company was selling shares to the public via dilution at around $40 per share, and if they get the chance to buy those same shares back at $8, $9, $10 per share, it's extremely beneficial to both investors and the company itself. And as the share price recovers, then they can start to dilute more. They don't have to dilute so many shares to raise as much capital as they need. It's business 101 to me, but some people just don't seem to get it. A lot of people trash on CleanSpark because they've been selling their Bitcoin to fund their operations and purchase new Bitcoin mining units. But it's business 101 to me, as I already prefaced. What company in history has relied solely on shareholder dilution to fund their operations? There's not a single company out there. Now, this is something that so many Bitcoin mining stocks are doing. They're relying solely on diluting shareholders to fund their operations, to pay their salaries, to buy new Bitcoin mining units, to buy new Bitcoin holdings, to pay employees, to fund operations in general. It's all coming out of shareholders' pockets. But if CleanSpark is selling their Bitcoin, they're not relying on shareholders for their cash flows, which is a big deal. Another way to look at this is that every single business model that works and has been proven to work in history revolves around making a product and selling that product so you can make more of that product and sell more of that product, right? It's not relying on shareholders for cash. It's not relying on debt constantly, forever, for cash flows. This doesn't make sense. This business model that a lot of the other Bitcoin mining companies have doesn't make much sense, and this is probably why institutions have been loading into CleanSpark rather than all these other names. Another reason why I think this outperformance is going to continue is because of something called on-chain analytics. And we look at it, we can see that over 60% of the Bitcoin supply has not left its wallet in a year or more. There have only been 2 times in history where this number has exceeded 60%. And keep in mind, over 60% of the Bitcoin supply has not left its wallet, and this is during a time where Bitcoin prices are really struggling, where Bitcoin has consistently been dipping. A lot of people felt that investors in Bitcoin and cryptos would get cold feet and sell out in fear just like the rest of the markets have been. But that's, in fact, not at all what's been going on. The people that are holding their Bitcoin and investing in Bitcoin are A, holding their Bitcoin, but B, also buying more Bitcoin, soaking up that supply. And if demand grows over time and supply remains constrained, you can do the math, but the price is going to go up. So this is a very bullish indicator that despite the price of Bitcoin going down, Bitcoin investors are still holding strongly onto the Bitcoin they hold, and they're in fact buying more. And the only 2 times that this has happened in history was in early 2016 and then in mid-2020. But when we look at the all-time Bitcoin chart, we can see that in 2016, This came right before a huge run-up in the price of Bitcoin. And in mid-2020, the same thing can be said. It came right before a huge run-up in the price of Bitcoin. So does this mean that we're on the brink of another huge run-up in the price of Bitcoin? I don't know. Nobody knows. This has only happened 2 times in history, but in both of those occurrences, it has happened that the price of Bitcoin has rocketed shortly after. We'll have to see how this all plays out, but I think these are a lot of bullish indicators for CleanSpark. They're doing everything right. The management team is expressing confidence in their company. They feel that their company is undervalued on the public markets and they're going out and buying shares. They also delivered a strong profit, and it looks like the company is going to sustain those profits going forward. And as a result, Wall Street is paying attention and buying in. We looked at the WGMI ETF, who holds almost a 12% portfolio allocation of CleanSpark. These things aren't coincidences, and this is why I believe the outperformance in CleanSpark is going to continue, especially if Bitcoin jumps up in price from here. But with that, I'm going to end this video here. Let me know down in the comment section below how many shares of CleanSpark you own. I'm very curious. Obviously, none of this video is meant to be financial advice. I'm just expressing my opinions, thoughts, and ideas. For you guys, it's up to you to come to your own conclusions about what I discussed today. But with that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Subscribe if you're new here or returning and not yet subscribed. Hit the like button if you enjoy my CleanSpark videos. And with that, have a blessed rest of your day. Peace out.